All right, take it away, Phil.
Good to see everybody. It's game before Christmas break, means bragging rights, and it's always one of those games that I think it's great for college basketball. I think it's great for the fans. I've said it many times. I say it every year. It's unique, and then it's a terrific rivalry that's not in conference. And so often we walk into arenas and it's capacity is 100%, and it's for one team or the other, and it's very unique to walk in and see 50-50 on a neutral site, and great appreciation for the city of St. Louis, and they're a great host, and so we're excited. We're coming off a game that we obviously played well offensively. The 18 threes being a school record, we know that doesn't happen every night, but I thought we established after the first 2 or 3 minutes a little better presence on the defensive side. And then offensively, we just got into a nice rhythm. I thought we were extremely unselfish with 21 assists. And then we've got the ability to make shots. And all that stems from Kofi. Teams trying to figure out how to guard him, whether to double him, how to double him. And he's made some great passes. One of my favorite plays, really of all time, happened the other game. All 5 guys touched the ball. It was a quick ball reversal. Everybody knew where everybody was at, and we get Plumber a wide open 3 in the corner. And those are the little things that we're growing into. And as we move the ball like that, our shot makers have that ability. But again, that all stems from Kofi and his presence. And we'll have to do some of that on Wednesday night against Missouri, a team that has played very, very well in their last game against Utah. They're a team that can throw a lot of different bodies at you. They're going to pressure you. They're one of the top transition defensive teams in the country. They're a team that wears you out on the offensive glass. So we've got to be physical in that way. And obviously led by 2 veterans in Kobe Brown and Pickett, guys that have had success against us in the past. And, we'll have to be very, very solid and know that this is going to be a battle, and they're going to compete and play extremely hard.
Brad, how would the Kofi versus Kobe Brown matchup differ from the Jeremiah Tillman matchup?
Well, about 5 inches to start with, and Pickett's more of an interior player that was limited in there a little bit to that 10-foot circle, whereas Kobe will play point for him. Kobe will bring the ball up the court. He'll spend 30-40% of the time on the ball that way. He's a guy who can make threes, can extend the floor. In the end of the Utah game, it was just isolation. Him catching the ball wherever he wanted to catch it and getting it to the spots he wanted to. And again, that's something that we've seen before. He's a EJ Liddell type guy to guard him.
And could you say between Kansas State and Mizzou, who got the better of the Mark Smith and DeJuan Gordon trade?
They both do different things. They're not the same player. Gordon is an electric athlete. He slithers in and gets offensive rebounds. I think he's gets a couple a game. He's a guy that can play with explosiveness off the bounce. He's a slasher, where Mark was more of a catch and shoot jump shooter. So it's they're both very good players. They're both effective in what they do, and they're both impacting their teams.
Thanks, Brad.
Hey, Coach. Good morning. You told us in the early season that how good of a player and shooter Andre Plummer was. And it seems like now when he shoots the basketball, everybody in the arena thinks he's going to go in. How big of an addition is he really to this team? Because he's fun to watch.
Yeah, and I think one of the things we set out to try to do in the off season, really not knowing if we had Kofi, when we started that process, was find shooting, and I don't like non-shooters, and offense today gets very challenging with Curbelo, an elite ball screen guy, an elite rim toucher, or excuse me, paint toucher. I thought it was very important to try to create as much space as possible, and you do that by finding shooters. And we thought Plummer was the best shooter in the portal. We went after him hard, as did others, and I was not afraid of his size. That doesn't bother me. He's a net stripper. He's a gravity guy. He's the guy that pulls the defense with him, and then when you find out how hard he works. He's a guy that shoots thousands of balls a week on his own. You see why he makes a lot, but he's gotten off to a great start. He's demanding a lot of attention now as he moves up that scouting report, and he's also benefited from Kofi and the attention Kofi draws.
Just a quick follow up with that, with him. His confidence level seems to be, at a different level right now, and it's feeding off of some of the other players. How has he been defensively? I know that was a concern for you early on.
Yeah, it still is. I think we're challenging. The young man's Plum's got a tremendous amount of charisma, and he wants to be the best player he can be. And so we challenge him every single day on the defensive end. He's very quick. He's extremely strong. He's one of the strongest guys we have on our team, pound for pound. And he's got the ability to be an elite defender. It's just making him do it. And he's gained so much confidence on that end. And he's getting better. And we want him to be a complete all-around player, not just a jump shooter.
Thank you.
Hey, Coach. We look at Mizzou's roster, a lot of turnover on that roster. And this question has more to do with them than you, I guess. But with the way the portal is and rosters flipping, how does that impact a rivalry game like this one, and really all the rivalry games around the country?
Well, I think it's going to be our new norm. I think what we see with their roster is something that's going to be common as we all move forward. And they had a very good team last year. They had a ton of veterans. That team had been together, played together, and now you're mixing in new pieces, and it's all trying to find that balance of transfers, of freshmen, and obviously there's some guys that haven't played in this game, but they've still got two studs who have, and they'll pass that along. But it's what we're going to continue to be, I think, as we move forward, Doug, in terms of what rosters look like and what can happen. And it doesn't matter whether they go to the NBA or they transfer, you're going to see rosters that will have 7, 8, 9 new guys on them. And then that's just going to be the common theme here.
And the last time we saw you after the St. Francis game, you talked about a different approach this year for the Braggin Rights game. What does that look like? Is it extra juice for a rivalry? More of an emphasis on the game. Just kind of what's that new approach for you?
Yeah, I mean, I think that it hadn't been real fun in there the last 3 times we played. It had, and that's to give them credit. I'm not going to make an excuse, but last year we were a little bit off kilter at that time of year. I think it was a springboard for us going forward because we got some things figured out. I think Io had a big game, and but yeah, we didn't compete. We didn't play very hard, and that's something that for whatever reason, we've got to get solved. And we're playing. We're starting to play with more purpose, and that's the exciting thing.
Thanks, Coach.
Hey, Brad, it's clear your offense has kind of found this rhythm over the last 7 games, especially with Kofi and the 3-point shooters. Defensively, what's your next step as a team? Because obviously there's still teams, routinely getting 1 point plus higher points per possession on you.
Yeah, we're 36th in the country. Our goal is to be a top 15 team. St. Francis was a good offensive team. I think they've led their conference in scoring 3 of the last 4 years. Their numbers coming in were great, and we held them to 0.8. That started with our ball screen defense. Our ball screen coverage was much, much better. We have been, I think we're 14th in the country, and we're doing some of the things our defense is meant to do. Few assists. I think we're 14th in the country in allowing fewest assists against. I think we're 27th in the country in 2-point field goal percentage defense. We're forcing teams into hard twos, but we just haven't been consistent. Part of that, Jeremy, has been our turnovers that have led to easy baskets in transition. And we got to clean that up. We did a better job against St. Francis. It's been hard to defend some uncontested layups, but again, we're growing. Last year at this time, I think we were 52nd and finished 7th. So, it's just a work in progress. I've said defense is much harder to learn and much harder to have great chemistry on than offense. And that's what all my frustration was with not being able to practice and not being able to play with some tenacity and toughness. So we'll see how that carries over tomorrow, but we're continuing to get better there.
And this is a little obligatory, Brad, but anything new with Andre Curbelo?
No. He's progressing. He is getting better. When I say that, it's not just no, but he's improving, but his status has not changed.
Thanks, Brad.
Hey, Brad, I know you were kind of talking before the Arizona game about how important it was to have games like that on campus, but is this game against Missouri, is it meant for St. Louis after last year's one-off?
Yeah, I think that's what makes that game so powerful, so popular, so exciting for fans is to have it there. And it's I'm not saying you would never want to go home and home. I think it's, but I think it's such a unique, we're in a unique situation to have a major city with great venue, halfway. And both of our campuses thrive because of alumni in St. Louis, and so I think it just makes it a unique scenario. I think it makes it fun for the fans and easy for both of us.
All 3 freshmen got some opportunity against St. Francis. What's been the follow-up for those 3 guys in practice, maybe off of pretty good performances?
Yeah, and I think confidence. They've got a little different pep in their step in practice. That's good to see. I think sometimes they're trying to figure out their roles, and they're trying to figure out, hey, can I actually do this? And but I've been very, very pleased. And again, Pod's got some early run. He deserved that opportunity. Like I said, he followed that up again yesterday with a terrific practice. So RJ was excellent in practice. So Luke's pretty consistent every single day. So I'm we're starting to find consistency that comes from practice, and that's that helps when you get a little game time.
Thanks, Brad.
Morning, Brad. You've got a rivalry game here, conference season right in front of you, and of course March distance, but you've also got this kind of creeping threat now with games being canceled and all that here in Chicago. DePaul, getting not just a couple games canceled, but they count in conference. Where are you at? What are you feeling as the guy in charge of a program with a lot on the line right now, and as you monitor just what's out there?
Well, it's concerning. There's no doubt about that. I think that was one of the things we always looked at last year, was to see how many games were canceled. The thing that really scares me is games forfeited. We have time to make those up. And, that's the one thing that I think is a little bit different. I think we're in a completely different place, Matt, than we were a year ago, because we have a vaccine out now. where we didn't necessarily know what that looked like a year ago. I think we have players that are vaccinated, but you know, to say that it's not concerning, I would be lying. You know, I don't know what it holds. We've got very little information coming at us. That's where the professional leagues are way ahead of us. We have so many different conferences, and who knows if the conference will do anything or not do anything. I don't know. But I know this, I'm really concerned about games being forfeited when we actually have time to make some of those games up, if we do come across it. And then, you know, what's going to be the threshold of, you know, I know I talked to Frank Martin. They played without 5 guys, but they played. You know, we played without, you know, we haven't had our whole team all year because of the flu, and the flu spreads. So, you know, it's what's going to be the difference, what's going to be the standard. I don't know. And that's a little bit indecisive. I do know this, we've got university and an athletic department who's we know at the forefront of being on it. And, you know, we're taking the precautions we need with masks and vaccinations and doing all of that. So, you know, we're going to do our part on that end.
Quick follow. Have you just become better at winging it as a coach, you know, as a person out of necessity at rolling with things you can't, you know, get your hands around necessarily and dictate? Yes.
The last 2 years have taught me that, with the NBA, draft deadlines, not knowing what my team looks like. I've never been that way. I've always been a guy that's been a planner, been a guy who wanted time to think things through. So I've become very, I'm becoming better at being uncomfortable and having to do things, you know, on the fly a little bit. And again, when you've got a great staff, you rely on those people as well. I ask a lot more questions. I want to dive into things. I want to get their opinions. But again, it's, you know, I think it's the new norm for what we are in basketball.
Hey, Coach, Kofi's mentioned that this is a game that's you had to chew on over Christmas break and it's left a sting. How have you experienced that, and can you use that as motivation going into this one and make sure it's not the same way this year?
You should probably ask my wife what I've been like over Christmas the last few years. But no, you know, we've been able to find something in not playing very well in that game. And it's been kind of a springboard for us. But again, that's something that we can't have happen. I think we're in a different place. I say it all the time. Every team is different. They go through their moments at different times. We've had a very trying fall, but yet I think we're in a place where we're starting to do some things and identify roles and feel comfortable. And again, Missouri whipped our butt last year. I mean, they just whipped our butt, and that's a credit to them. They're a veteran team. They great guards and Pinson and Drew Smith and their presence, and you know, we were still, you know, we just didn't have it. We weren't there. But every year's new, and we'll hope that Christmas Days has a little more positive vibe if we play well.
In a game with a lot of emotion, sometimes you think about mistakes and turnovers. Is that an emphasis in trying to clean those up, even in a game that might have a lot of extra juice?
Yeah, not just for that, Derek. It's something we've obviously got to be concerned about, because it's the one thing that's hurting our defense more than anything. I love where our numbers are at defensively. But again, it's hard to control the run out turnovers and the pick sixes, if you want to give it a name. I mean, those are the things that somebody just taking our ball. I mean, it cost us the Arizona game. It cost us the Marquette game. You know, we're sitting here, you know, realistically, maybe with one loss because we were obviously very disjointed versus Cincinnati. But obviously, it's been something that we've got to control as we move forward into Big Ten play.
Thanks.
Brad, as a follow-up to Steve's question, do you feel like by Jan 1, there will be a policy or a plan in place if there's a team with an outbreak and here's what we do, and whether that comes from Josh or Randy or somebody from the league?
I know Illinois will.
Okay.
You know, I feel really strongly that we're going to have some procedures in place. I know we've had some preliminary meetings as to what certain things may look like. You know, obviously we all get concerned with guys going home for Christmas. You know, a year ago we didn't do that, and what that looks like. But again, our guys are vaxxed, so we're headed down the right path with that. But you know, I had the flu. You know, and I wasn't. You know, we had other guys with it, and they were out. And so it's to me, it's the same thing. Hey, play the games and let's go.
That leads me to my follow-up was that's a normal guys are going to go home for Christmas if they can kind of deal this year compared to last year. Okay.
Yep.
Thanks, Brad.
Hey, Coach, you made a point of saying that before the Iowa game, the players said, you know, we haven't won in Iowa. Do you sense that again? These guys are tired of losing to Missouri, and are they kind of a pretty self-motivated group in that sense?
Well, it's not very fun sitting out there watching another team celebrate. You know, I think every game's got its own motivational tools. You know, we keep a lot of those in-house. You know, I thought we responded well at Iowa, but again, I think it's a different game, we were in a different place there then than we are now. And, yeah, I mean, there's, you know, our guys sense how important it is to our fan base and you know, for those, it's got the proper name, Bragging Rights. And, our guys sense that.
You keep saying progressing with Curbelo. Is there any fear Curbelo will not play the rest of the season?
Anytime anybody's out, I always fear that. I'm not a doctor, so I'm not going to comment on somebody's future. You know, I think we're heading in the direction that he's going to be back. But again, you know, we're never going to do anything to jeopardize him, so or hurt him. But you know, I think we're in a place that I'm confident that he's going to be on the court again.
Thank you.
All right, that's all the time we have today.